Waverley, or 'Tis 60 Years Since, written by Sir Walter Scott and initially published anonymously in 1814, holds the distinction of being the world's first historical fiction novel. With elements of comedy and a picaresque narrative style, Waverley follows the journey of Edward Waverley, an English soldier, amidst the Jacobite uprising of 1745. Scott, renowned for his literary contributions like Ivanhoe and The Lady of the Lake, began his illustrious career with this novel. To fully grasp the story, it is important for contemporary readers to grasp the historical context. Waverley is set during the Jacobite uprising of 1745, a period marked by the efforts of British subjects loyal to the exiled House of Stuart to reclaim power and reinstate Charles Edward Stuart, also known as Bonnie Prince Charlie, as the rightful ruler, overthrowing the reigning Hanover dynasty. Referred to as the 45, this uprising was the final chapter in a series of attempts to restore the Stuart name to the throne. A surge in Scottish nationalism provided momentum to the rebellion, as the Stuart family had strong Scottish ties, particularly through Mary, Queen of Scots. Though the uprising ultimately failed, its aftermath left a lasting impact on Scottish literature and fostered a sense of Scottish national identity, a legacy that inspired Sir Walter Scott to write Waverley. The novel initially introduces the Waverley family. Edward Waverley, the central character, is the son of a minor nobleman's second son. His uncle, Everard Waverley, sympathizes with the Jacobites and supports the Stuarts, while his father, Richard, aligns with the Hanoverians. This political divide has caused a rift between the brothers, and Everard has denied Richard his share of the Waverley estate. However, as Sir Everard has no direct heirs, he eventually designates his nephew Edward as his heir. Consequently, Edward is raised in a shared arrangement between his father and uncle, frequently transitioning between their households. Edward Waverley, despite being an avid reader, finds himself more captivated by romantic tales than by educational pursuits that could expand his knowledge and challenge his mind. His formal education is lacking, and he often spends his days lost in daydreams and a rich inner fantasy life. Recognizing Edward's lack of real-world experience and concerned about his infatuation with local women deemed unsuitable, his Aunt Rachel believes that travel would be beneficial for him. Edward's father, Richard, secures him a commission with the Hanoverian army in Scotland. Departing under his aunt's warning to beware of Scottish beauties, Edward sets off for his regiment in Dundee. However, he struggles to excel in his military training. During the summer, Edward pays a visit to Lord Bradwardine, a friend of his uncle, in Perthshire. It is there that he first encounters Bradwardine's daughter, the captivating and spirited Rose. At a welcoming feast, Edward is honored with a toast using the blessed bearer Bradwardine, a mystical heirloom goblet. The traditional and romantic ambience of Bradwardine's estate resonates deeply with Edward's sensibilities, and he finds himself drawn to the untamed character of Scotland, preferring it over his native England. Additionally, Edward develops an affection for the stories, songs, and dances performed by Davy Gellatley, Bradwardine's Shakespearean comic fool and loyal servant. Unexpectedly, Edward's life takes a turn when Highlander Evan Dhu Maccombich arrives. Intrigued by Evan, Edward extends his leave from the army to embark on a journey to the Highlands, eager to meet clan chieftain Fergus Mac Ivor Vich Ian Vohr. During his travels, he finds himself in a cave that serves as a hideout for Scottish outlaw Donald Bean Lean, a Robin Hood-like figure who steals from the wealthy. Evan then guides Edward to Fergus's ancient Highland castle. It is there that Edward encounters the enchanting Flora, Fergus's sister, who shares Edward's romantic inclinations and captivates him with her Gaelic poetry. Edward finds himself deeply infatuated with Flora, despite the seemingly insurmountable obstacles in their path. He is a Hanoverian soldier, while Flora is a devoted Jacobite who has dedicated her life to overthrowing the Hanoverian regime. In England, Richard's political influence wanes as a change in power diminishes his standing, leading him to withdraw from his government position. Trouble befalls Edward when he is accused of desertion from the army and treason. It turns out that the cunning thief Donald Bean Lean manipulated several of Edward's comrades into joining the Highlanders using a stolen seal belonging to Edward. Unjustly shouldering the blame, Edward is arrested but swiftly rescued by the Highlanders. They guide him to safety at Holyrood Palace, where he has a fateful encounter with Bonnie Prince Charlie. Influenced by Flora's persuasive words, Edward decides to switch his allegiance and embrace the Jacobite cause, hoping it will pave the way for a potential marriage with Flora. Edward, undeterred by Flora's steadfast devotion to the cause over personal affairs, proposes to her repeatedly. However, Flora reveals that her love for the Jacobite movement surpasses all else, and she cannot consider marrying until Bonnie Prince Charlie is restored to the throne. Despite this setback, Edward remains committed and fights valiantly for the Jacobites in the Battle of Prestonpans in September 1745. Amid the chaos of the battle, with both armies bogged down in a marsh, Edward comes to the aid of a soldier who turns out to be Colonel Talbot, a Hanoverian. Surprisingly, Talbot is not only a Hanoverian but also a friend of Edward's uncle, Everard. As the war progresses and the Jacobite uprising is quashed, Talbot, indebted to Edward for his rescue, intervenes to secure a pardon for him. However, Fergus, who lacks such influential support, is condemned to death for his actions. Following Fergus's execution, any hopes of Edward marrying Flora are shattered. Yet, his affection gradually turns towards Rose, the gentle daughter of Bradwardine. Edward and Rose unite in marriage, while Flora seeks solace in a convent, devoting herself to her faith. Despite Bradwardine's estate being seized, Edward purchases it and promptly returns it to his new father-in-law, cementing his commitment to family and reconciliation. The novel Waverley achieved tremendous success, despite being initially published without revealing Scott as the author. However, astute reviewers swiftly deduced the true identity of the writer, recognizing his distinct style that had already gained fame through his poetry. The novel's immense popularity was such that Scott's subsequent works were promoted as being written by the author of Waverley. Moreover, his later works, which delved into comparable historical themes, came to be collectively referred to as the Waverley novels. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.